Welcome, everyone, to this edition of Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast. I'm Jim Williams, your host. And we're going to, over the coming weeks, months, and hopefully years, educate, enlighten, and entertain you as we do a deep dive every 2 weeks into the multi-billion-dollar world of one of the fastest-growing areas of the fashion industry. We, of course, are talking about lingerie. Now, through Lingerie Lowdown, the website, and our YouTube channel, you have seen men and women who review thousands of different items from all over the world. And they come from, a tremendously diverse background. It's a very inclusive group. We have models that represent all body types and give honest reviews on every item that they try on. And trust me, folks, there are thousands of them. Now, we also are going to give you an opportunity to meet some industry insiders who represent some of the top fashion houses in the entire fashion world. Plus, we're going to introduce you to some of the cutting-edge designers and smaller brands that are making names for themselves out there in the industry, and you're going to know about them first right here on Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast. Such is the case this time, my friends, because we have someone who is a name that, frankly, a lot of people don't know, but she's got some fantastic ideas. She's a design student who is studying in the UK, and she's come up with an amazing product, which right at the moment isn't even on the market, but it has been tried and it has become quite successful in the mock-up stages. It is a design for underwear that is very, very important to be able to use on your period. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to this young designer and inventor. And of course, that's Sian Hickey. Sean, it's a pleasure to meet you. Please tell us about your project and how you got started.
Okay, so for my final major project, so the last project that counts towards my degree, I created a line of period-proof underwear. So it's just 4 outfits, but the difference is, so period-proof underwear is already on the market, but I have decided to do it with a sexy alternative, because there was a big gap there. Like, there was period-proof underwear for you every day, but actually nothing that was really pretty. So that's what I've done. So it's 4 outfits that are a variety of styles, including a bodysuit, a high-waist knicker, a low-rise knicker, and a thong as well. So 4 different types of underwear that are period-proof, and they can hold up to 4 tampons worth of menstrual blood. And you won't, apart from the thong can hold up to half a tampon's worth. That's designed for your lighter days. And these, you don't need to wear any type of protection with them. So you don't need to wear a tampon or a sanitary towel. You can just wear them as they are. And 4 layers that are built up in the gusset will contain the blood, and then you just wash them, and they can be reused for between 12 to 18 months.
Wow, that is amazing. Now, obviously you had to get these products developed and made. What was that process like?
So it involved a lot of research. So I researched a lot of period-proof companies who are doing period-proof market on the market currently. So I looked at the information that was on their website about how their underwear worked, and I basically figured out that in the gusset, so your top layer needs to be an antibacterial and a wicking fabric, which basically means that as soon as liquid hits that top layer, it gets drawn down so the fabric stays as dry as possible, which means you stay really comfortable as the wearer. And then the second layer needs to be the absorbent layer, which can hold the menstrual blood. And then you need a third layer, which is leak proof. So that's the really important layer. And it is the fabric that I sourced was a PUL coated fabric, so like a waterproof kind of fabric, so it doesn't let anything go through it. And then you have an outer fashion layer. So a lot of my research basically started with that, and then I started looking into companies who could provide super absorbent fabrics, and I found a company in the UK called Technical Absorbents, and they're the company who supplied me with the fabric that can hold that quantity of blood, which I then obviously tested myself just to make sure, and it ended up being really successful.
So now what did, from a marketing standpoint, you jokingly said that the existing designs were more like Bridget Jones style pants. And
Yeah.
so I think all of us know, I mean, I don't think there's anybody in the world that hasn't seen Bridget Jones's Diaries.
Yeah.
So you've decided that, that's unacceptable. So, so you came through with this project, and so now let's give a plug to the university. What, where are you? Where did you did this at? What was the university?
It's De Montfort University in Leicestershire, England.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I hope you got an A on the project.
I don't actually know yet. I'm still waiting to hear back about my grade.
Oh my goodness. Okay. It's
for me.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just to give you an idea of, this is fascinating. Well, a gentleman by the name of Tom Moynihan in the United States had a project that he did for his business class, much like you're talking about your project you just did for your class, right?
Yeah.
And it was a pizza franchise. It was that would deliver your pizza in 30 minutes or less. Now, he got a C on that project. And he went out and did at the same time, he had put a business plan together and had put the business plan out there. That business plan and business became Domino's Pizza in the United States, which is a multi-billion-dollar company now. And he got a C on the project. So, I'm not so sure that business professor knew what the heck was going on. So let me, I don't know your professor's name, nor do I want to. I don't want to throw any shade on them yet. But if you're listening out there, Professor, this young woman has just created something is revolutionary. She deserves to get more than a C on it, like Mr. Moynihan in the United States. I hope that you give her, the A, which she has, rightfully deserved. So, and anyway, let's move forward. Have you always been interested in fashion?
Yeah, I have been. I always knew it was something that I wanted to do. I didn't really know what route I wanted to take. I just knew that I wanted to do it. From when I was about 12, I started going to sewing classes where I just learned to make little cushions and purses and things like that. That's how it started out. And I just really enjoyed it and the creativity. And that's just something that I always wanted to do. But I didn't know what I wanted to do until actually my textiles teacher at school. So I was really young, actually, like I was quite a few years off university, but she said, she was like, why don't you go and look at the local university, De Montfort, because they offer a lot of fashion courses and it might just spark something for you. So I did that. Me and my mum went down to an open day one weekend, and I saw the Contour Fashion course, which is the course that I've just completed. And I just fell in love with it from that first moment. And my mum always says to me, she looks at me now and she said, when we came out of that meeting, you just looked at me and said, this is the only thing that I want to do. And so I had my sights set on it. So it meant that then I picked a lot of my subjects, hopefully based on what would make me look good on the application. And thankfully I got onto the course. And then, here I am now. So I think I chose the right path for me.
I would think so. When do you graduate?
In July, the 20th of July.
Have you been in touch with any fashion houses about, what you've created and if there is any interest in it?
I haven't actually been in touch with any fashion houses. Obviously, I've spoke to a few charities and things now. And then obviously the Lingerie Lowdown contacted me. I've had a few people get in touch, but nobody really fashion-wise has contacted me. So, yeah.
Well, hopefully what will happen is you'll get an opportunity to go and meet some of these folks and sit down with them and see if you can design your, as I said, revolutionary type of lingerie for them.
Yeah, maybe, maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. So, what have you? What are your plans after you graduate this summer?
I've actually got an internship lined up with H&M,
Yeah.
based in Stockholm. So I'm going to go and be a pattern cutter intern.
Mm-hmm.
So
So,
excited about that.
yeah, that's very exciting. Tell me about your relationship with the folks at Lingerie Lowdown. We have a lot of great presenters. I understand one of the presenters is the one that brought the information to Scott, and he's the one who reached out to you.
Yeah, so I actually had never heard of the Lingerie Lowdown until I got Scott's
Mm-hmm.
email.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went online and started looking at it, and it's something that actually I know is going to be so useful for myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a good idea having real women test out all these products.
Mm-hmm.
Because like because underwear is expensive, like even if just for your everyday bras, like it can be
Mm-hmm.
expensive. You want to know that when
Sure.
you put in underwear, that it's going to fit and that it's going to be comfortable. And if you can hear other women saying that it's comfortable and they can afford
Mm-hmm.
it, it just would encourage me to go out and buy certain brands. So it's something that I'm definitely going to have to start following and subscribing to. But yeah, I was just so like honoured that I was approached and that you wanted to come and speak to me and talk to me about it. It's really exciting.
Well, it's not when you come up with a good idea. Okay, I think it's important that people know about it. I mean, you've got something here that I'm sure there are a number of women who want to at least look into. And one of the great things about the presenters that we have at Lingerie Lowdown, and something I'm sure you saw when you were checking things out, is they're extremely honest. And I think brands like that. As a matter of fact, I know brands like that because I've interviewed a number of the brands, the folks who've been involved with, um, sending products to Lingerie Lowdown. And they like the idea that someone is going to be honest and say, look, hey, you know what? There's something about this that could be fixed that would make it better. Or if there's something that they really, really like, well, then they say it. Or even some cases, they say, you know what? This doesn't work necessarily for me, but I can see where, other people might like it. So the honesty, I think, is important. The other part is the feedback. If you're creating anything, okay, we all need creative feedback. And I think that creative feedback from people who literally get paid to do this, because these are models. Models are paid to wear clothes, and they probably better than you or I know, what's comfortable and what's not comfortable to other people.
Yeah,
So if they say, okay, this particular item of clothing is great, but there's an area here where it cuts into me, then you'd be wise to pay attention to that, because if they're not going to like it, then the average person who buys it is probably not going to like it.
yeah, like feedback is like so important. It's how you can develop and get better.
Mm-hmm. We'll be back with more of Lingerie Lowdown after this. Hey, you know what, folks? What you've got to do is you've got to be part of our family at Lingerie Lowdown, the website. As I told you earlier, we have presenters from all over the world. They represent truly some of the most diverse people on this planet. They're very inclusive. They represent all shapes and sizes, all body types and body styles. They're fun people. They give honest reviews of some of the most amazing clothing that you're going to see and some of the most cutting edge fashion that you're going to see anywhere. It is such a fun thing to do. I really highly recommend that you buy this for your wife or for your girlfriend. If you're a girl or someone out there who just loves fashion, hey, it's nice to have just on your own. But you got to belong to our club, because I'm telling you right now, it is fun and you're missing some of the most enjoyable and entertaining reviews about fashion you're going to find anywhere in the world. And just because we want you to be part of our family here at Lingerie Lowdown, the website, we're going to give you a special deal. That's right, a special deal. The special deal is this. All you have to do is subscribe to Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast, either for 6 months or 12 months, and you're going to get 10% off your subscription when you enter the promo code, in this case, SIANPOD, SIANPOD. That's SIANPOD, SIANPOD. It'll be in our show notes below. If you enter that at checkout, you'll get 10% off a 6 or 12-month subscription to Lingerie Lowdown, the website. And folks, I got to tell you, there are hours worth of phenomenal reviews, and they're all honest. We don't get paid by any of the folks in the fashion industry. We test everything. And our presenters often, quite frankly, the feedback they give, not only is it going to help you, it helps the people who are the designers. We've had many designers, if you listen to the podcast, who've talked about the importance of the feedback they've received from our presenters in making their garments better. So look, don't take my word for it. Give it a try. Go to the website, give it a spin, see what you like about it. Go to our YouTube channel, gives you a little idea of what's going on. Try Lingerie Lowdown, the website, for 6 or 12 months. Get a 10% discount at checkout. All you got to do is enter, as I said, when prompted at checkout, enter the promo code this week. It's SIANPOD, and you will get that 10% discount. You'll get us off of a 6 or 12-month subscription to Lingerie Lowdown, the website. And trust me, folks, you're going to enjoy it. Okay? All right. Welcome back to Lingerie Lowdown. And so now you've developed this, and we're waiting for that grade, which we hope will be an A. And you've got your H&M internship, which you'll be going overseas for that, which will be cool. Hopefully, what we can do with the information we've done, and I know there's been some newspaper pieces done on you and all kinds of interesting stuff. Hopefully we can get you out there as a young designer who has come up with some very cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's been put to me a lot, like throughout this project. So I started the project in January, and since then the question has been, so are you doing it as a business? Is it going to be something that you set up? And I didn't expect it really to take off how it has. I didn't think it would be this accepted and that people would be this excited about it. I just thought that I was hitting a bit of a niche for my project, but it is something that I feel like having my own business is something that does really appeal to me. But I do think that maybe just a couple of years in the industry first to get some years and some experience under my belt before I do it. I think that's what I want to do. But yeah, if anybody would be interested in the future, it's definitely something I'm going to be open-minded about.
Yeah, I think that, to your point, one of the things that you can do now is go forward and go do your internship and get a little bit of a background in the business aspect of fashion, and then come back and develop your business plan better, and hopefully by that point you'll be able to sell your garments.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. Or better yet, sit down with somebody who's an existing company and sell your concept, and then, be part of that group. That way you don't have to, go find the venture capital to launch your own brand.
Yeah, that would be really good.
That would save a great deal of time, I would think.
Yeah.
So now, from a personal standpoint, let's talk about your style. Who are some of the people that you've followed, and from a design standpoint or a fashion standpoint, that are folks that you look up to?
I think, well, because being on a lingerie course, you are quite set in things that you learn about the industry, and you really learn about amazing brands. And there's so many people who aren't that interested in lingerie. I feel like people don't realise just how many companies there are and how many options there are, which is amazing. There's really is something for everybody, lingerie wise. But I think some of my favourites, I mean, I can't buy them because I'm on a student budget, but Agent Provocateur, I feel like their clothing, like you can kind of tell that they really want to be different with their design. They're really out there, which I quite like. But then you have brands like La Perla, which are completely classic. But to be honest, even just smaller or upcoming brands, like there are a lot of new brands and things, like ASOS endorse new brands, and they're much more affordable. So I feel like ASOS is somewhere I turn to for my underwear, because it's nice stuff that is in my kind of budget. But yeah, style-wise, there's just so many to choose from. I feel like even just looking on WGSN and those kind of trend forecasting sites, that's such a good place for me to look for inspiration, because it's so many designers collated into one forum. So a big mix, really.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a big mix. I mean, you want variety, and you want the ability to get what is best for you. And I think that's there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, that's as someone learning, you want to sample a little bit of everything. You don't want to latch onto just one item or one company and say, well, that's my go-to group. And certainly Agent Provocateur is one that is a name brand. There's no question about that. So there's no wrong or right situation. I think you're right into the idea of looking around from that standpoint. How about outside of lingerie? Is there an area of fashion that excites you in that realm?
I mean, I absolutely love looking at the couture and following like London Fashion Week, all of those big events. But I don't really think there's anybody in particular. I mean, Alexander McQueen. I absolutely love Alexander McQueen. Even since Sarah Burton took over, it just, for me, that stands on its own, because it's an English brand, and the history of Alexander McQueen and how amazing he was. That's something that really, a brand that really sticks out for me. I just, anything they make, I just know that I'll love it. Vivienne Westwood, she's another one. She's so different and quite edgy with it. Like, it's still everything she does, even if it's really pretty, there's still something about it that's quite punk, because that is seems to be her personality. So there's so many, but again, I think I like to look on everything. Like, I use the Vogue runway app, and that has all the designers, even designers you haven't heard of, and just clicking on and scrolling through, just taking it all in, really, is what I like to do. I don't like to pin myself down to just a few brands. I just like to try and see as bit as possible.
You should also check out Elle. That's a good one.
Okay, I'll have to.
They've got an outstanding, online presence with their magazine, and they've had a long-running relationship with a contest. Actually, it's a reality show called Project Runway, and Project Runway has an international following. They do Project Runways in a number of different countries, and it's basically where young fashion designers compete to get on the show, and then finally, at the end of the day, when 16 of them begin, there's the final 3 get the show at New York Fashion Week, and they show their line of clothing at New York Fashion Week, and then the winner gets $250,000 and the ability to start their own line of clothing.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those episodes.
Yeah, Christian Siriano, who I actually know, Christian, was the youngest winner. He was, I believe, 18 or 19 when he won. Christian is now one of the hottest designers in the United States and does quite a few different major runway projects, and most recently did a deal with Carly B and some of the other top stars that are out there. So it's, one of the great things about fashion is age is not an issue. It's a point of view. And whoever has a good idea, like you have had a good idea, it's not like you have to be 20 years in the business to get recognized. And I think and I hope, Sean, that recognition for you comes faster as opposed to later in this, because you have come up with a brilliant idea, and hopefully the people in the fashion world will accept and understand it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll cross my fingers.
Sean, I know there's a couple of issues that you personally are very excited about. Let's talk about those two issues, beginning with the charity aspect of it.
Yeah, so a big reason why doing period proof underwear appealed to me was because actually so many girls and women, like across the world, but also in the UK, don't have access to sanitary protection. So a lot of, now in the UK, we actually had a bit of a breakthrough because the government are going to supply sanitary products for free in primary and secondary schools, which means that we've taken like a really good step towards solving period poverty in the UK. But in other countries, in developing countries where women don't have access to sanitary products, they just have to make do with bad resources and bad hygiene and things like that. And actually now there are so many ways that women in local villages can be supported by people going out there and teaching them how to make reusable sanitary wear, which is really positive, because it means now us in the Western world and the Western side of the world, we are now going to have to start and change away from they're so bad for the environment. But women in developing countries who don't have access to protection, we're actually starting them off with reusables on the right foot, which is amazing. And it means that they get used to reusable sanitary wear. So for me, all this felt like it could link in to my project. And so I contacted Freedom for Girls, who are a UK-based charity who provide support for girls in the UK and also in developing countries, particularly in Kenya. They do a lot of work in Kenya, where they go out to villages and they teach the local women how to make reusable sanitary protection for themselves and their daughters, and just for all the women who need it, which is amazing. And they really kindly came back to me and said they'd love to be part of it and support me in the campaign that I started. So I am using the collection to raise money for charity, which is amazing. It's something I'm really pleased that I could do. And I set a target of £500, and I actually hit that a couple of days ago, which is amazing. But I'm still having some donations come in, which is really good. So that's one thing that I'm so glad that I could do and use the collection to do, because I know that sexy reusable period wear is going to be a luxury. Like that is just another option for people who are in a position of more privilege. So we can choose that our period proof underwear could be sexy if we wanted it to be. But actually the fact that I've been able to use that to help women who don't have access to the basics makes me feel really pleased. I'm so glad that I've managed to do that. And also, I set up a blog, so I have a website which talks about my research and how I tested my underwear, because women don't realise how bad their periods are for the environment. So disposable sanitary products, the majority are made of plastic. All of that ends up in oceans or in landfill, because so many women flush sanitary products down toilets, and you are not supposed to do that. But so many people don't know, because nobody wants to talk about periods. It makes people really uncomfortable. But actually, if you are flushing things down the toilet, they're going to end up in the ocean. But even if you dispose of everything properly and you put it in a bin, it's going to sit in landfill and it's not going to decompose for hundreds of years because it's plastic. So actually turning to reusable options is something that we're really going to have to do. And it's just letting people know. So on the blog, I talk about period-proof underwear because that's probably the equivalent of a disposable sanitary wear, but obviously you can wear it for a lot longer. So women who like to wear pads rather than tampons, period-proof underwear is probably for you because it's more like a sanitary towel. But then I also talk about on my blog other reusable options. So women who maybe prefer tampons rather than sanitary towels, you can now get reusable tampon applicators. So you can just buy organic cotton tampons on their own and use a reusable applicator. So you don't have to buy the ones from the shop that have plastic on them. But it's just trying to really educate women that you can start and turn to so many other options. Like there are menstrual cups that last for between 5 and 10 years. So I really wanted to just try and use what I've done to raise some awareness, both for period poverty and to raise some money, but also just to educate women on their periods and how bad they are. And that if you can make a change, or at least you want to look into it, you know of a few options that you could start to use.
Okay, now, if someone wants to donate, how can they do that?
So I have a GoFundMe page. So if you Google Sian Hickey period poverty campaign, I think that should bring the link up for my campaign. But if not, if you just were to Google Sian Hickey period proof underwear, the articles that I've been in with some of the newspapers, they come up on Google, and all of the articles have included a link where you can click to donate. So if you want to do it that way, you can read the article, you can actually see the collection, and then you can also find the link and make a donation if you'd like to, which I'd be really grateful if you did.
How about if we want to read your blog, where can we find that?
So on the campaign page, so once you've read through the article, found the donate button, that will take you to my GoFundMe page, and at the bottom of my description on that page is a link to the blog. So you can access that through the funding page. Okay,
and what we'll do is we'll link all that information in our show box, so those of you out there will be able to find Sian and donate. Okay, it's for a good cause, as well as, of course, that very, very important part about the eco-friendliness of what you're talking about and saving the environment, which, of course, is two very, very important things to do. Special thanks to Sian Hickey, who, of course, joined us today. Again, keep a lookout. That's a name you're going to want to follow. Sian, thank you for joining us, and we will be back with more of Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast, right after this.
Life is about making decisions. At BMW I, we decided it was time to reinvent the car from the ground up, making sure we were open for truly innovative ideas. We decided that the car we wanted must be electric, and it should be made of extremely light and super strong carbon fiber. And finally, we decided to make it more intelligent and added our promise of incomparable driving pleasure. We made all these decisions to offer you a choice. The all-electric BMW i3.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, if you're not one of the over 35,000 people and growing who have joined our little gang here at Lingerie Lowdown by subscribing to the podcast, please do it. It's free. You can find us at the iTunes store because we are very proud to be part of the Apple Podcast family. You could also find us at Google. That's right. Go to the Google Play Store. We're part of the Google Podcast family. We're part of Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, as well as TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and, of course, YouTube, just to name a few. Now, if for some reason you cannot find us, pull out the old Google machine and type in Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast. Hit your favorite button or the subscribe button, and every 2 weeks you'll get a brand new edition of the podcast sent directly to your phone, your tablet, or hopefully to both. Also, if you have an assistant device like Siri or Alexa or Google, all you have to do is ask Siri, Alexa, or Google So please play the latest edition of Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast, and they will do it for you. Okay, folks, we try to make it simple to subscribe, so please go out there and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. Thanks to Sian Hickey, who, of course, joined us. She is a name you're going to want to follow, and check her out. We got plenty of information on Sian in our box below, in the show box. So follow that up. All right. Next time, we're going to talk to the gang from Pretty Polly, who is celebrating their 100th year anniversary. That's right. The 100th year anniversary, Pretty Polly, and the designers from their fine organization will be with us next time in 2 weeks. We're right here on Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast. Well, I'm Jill Williams, and for the entire team here at Lingerie Lowdown, we thank you for joining us today. We look forward to talking to you in 2 weeks' time. Have a great summer and enjoy yourself out there. Don't get too much of a sunburn, so be careful. See you in a fortnight, folks, when we have Pretty Polly right here talking on Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast.